The Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading presents This Book is Cool.
Hello, my friends, and welcome to This Book is Cool. My name is Beth Duda, and I'm the director of the Suncoast Campaign for Grade Level Reading. We have a wonderful book to share with you today. It's called Maybe a Bear Ate It. And one of the things I loved about this book is that it gives special messages to the parents so that as you're reading this book to your child or your child is reading the book to you, there's little clues of questions you can ask each other to make the book even more meaningful. We have a special guest today to talk to us about why she thinks this book is cool. With us today, we have the Chief Executive Officer from the Florida Center, Kristie Skoglund. Hi, Kristie, how are you?
Hey, I'm great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk about the book.
I am excited to have you talk about the book. I found this book really entertaining and very charming. What are some of the things you liked about the book?
So right off the bat, I love the emotion that the book highlighted that is very real for all of us when we lose something that we just had, that we can't find, and the frustration and how our brain automatically kind of goes to that worst place, like, maybe it's lost forever, and and then our brain kind of thinks differently and goes, wait a minute, it was just here.
Yes, and unless, it learns how to fly. Yes. And how we can slowly solve the problem. But I too loved that whole notion that the very first thing they thought of is like, maybe something horrible has happened, and that's where the title of the book came from, Maybe a Bear Ate It, which I guess is possible, kind of, but would be very hard without there being a bear right there.
An actual bear in the room. What I thought was really creative, though, and I don't know if you paid attention to this, Beth, but as he's coming up with all of the possibilities of who could have eaten the book, I'm noticing these are all of his friends, his little stuffed animals that were right there with him. And he was thinking, using them as like, oh, maybe this stegosaurus, or maybe this shark. So I'm like, he's using his toys and thinking creatively about where his book might be.
Yes. And I do think we've all experienced that, where we've had something that we really loved right with us and we misplace it somehow. Sometimes it is a stuffed animal that we misplace. I can remember when one of my nieces was a child, we spent hours looking for her bunny because she couldn't go to sleep without her bunny. And I think we've all had those feelings. Yeah.
I remember those kinds of things, yes, with my kiddos, when we've, in the stroller and the stuffed animal or the blankie falls down and you're like, oh my gosh, where'd it go? We have to backtrack, go get it. Yeah, it's when we lose, and that's just real. That's how all of us are, when we lose something that we really like, or we have a routine. I imagine that this little guy had a routine, where he's getting ready for bed. I noticed he had all of his animals and he was getting ready to hop in bed and he's ready. Okay, now I'm in bed and I'm going to read. He was stretching and then his book fell and he got, really frustrated in that moment because I imagined that he was probably at a really good place in his book, like really exciting or like, just waiting for the next thing to happen. And then the book falls down. And I don't know if you noticed, but I could see where the book was the whole time. I knew where it was.
I liked that. And I also really liked how this book has little messages on how to make reading fun for parents who might be reading this book with their children.
I did too, because not all books have those things and not all parents are super creative. And I'm one of those. I just need a little nudge. I love spending time with my kids, but those little nudges or examples or ideas are super helpful, and it just gives parents, new ideas of ways that they can connect in meaningful ways with their kids while they're sitting together reading.
Kristie, I want to thank you for taking time to talk to us today. I'd like to ask you, why is reading with your children such an important thing to do?
Well, for a number of reasons. One, building relationships with your child isn't about taking them places necessarily and spending lots of money. Quality time is doing things just like sitting and reading books and sharing ideas. And it also helps children at an early age learn to love reading. So many kids don't necessarily read as often as they should. And it's just a great way that we can help our kids, become just lifelong lovers of reading.
Because it gives us memories then that we have, and it gives us something that we can remember fondly with each other, and even remind each other about the fun we had reading.
That's right. And it brings up so many positive emotions that you can have together.
It does. Well, thank you for taking the time to be with us today. We certainly appreciate it, and appreciate all of the wonderful work that the Florida Center does in our community on the Suncoast of Florida. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon.
Thanks, Beth. I appreciate being here today. Thanks so much.
It was great fun to talk to Kristie about the book, Maybe a Bear Ate It. And I want to show you an example of the little hints about how we can talk to each other about what's happening in the book. And this little tip says, can you think of a time when you lost something you love? What happened? So not only can we read the book, but this book gives us great tips on how we can discuss the book with each other too. And this book also has some wonderful words for our word bank. The first word for our word bank is the word mammal. Mammal. A mammal is a warm-blooded animal that has fur or hair on its skin and a skeleton inside its body. Like humans, we are mammals. Our next word is the word rhyme. Rhyme. A rhyme is words that sound the same in their endings, like walk and talk, or bold and cold. Those are examples of rhyming words. Our next word is riddles. Riddles. Riddles are a question or a problem that's difficult to figure out. So sometimes riddles can be quite serious, like when our character has lost his book and he can't find it. But sometimes we use riddles for fun, like riddles that we use like jokes with each other.
What is this type of animal? The Jungle Book had blue. Smokey warns you about fires. There's also Winnie the Pooh.
I'm not sure. What kind of animal is it?
It's a bear.
Oh, of course, it's a bear. Our next word is the word hibernate. Hibernate. Hibernate means to curl up in a safe space and save energy. Some animals hibernate for the whole winter, like bears. Our next word is the word detective. Detective. Detective is someone who investigates mysteries. And the character in our book investigated his very own mystery by figuring out what happened to his book. In our book, the character lost his book, and he couldn't go to sleep without reading right before bed. So our activity is to make your own very safe place to put a book. We've covered a box to be a very safe place for us to keep our books. So what we did is we took just a regular cardboard box and we covered it on the outside with colorful paper, and then we put a name right on the front of the box. So this box belongs to Peyton. And it's a great place to store your books so that you know they're always safe. You could use a box this big. You might even want to make a very safe place for your books that's a book bag or perhaps a bookshelf. The important thing is to make sure you know where the place is that you can keep your books safe and organized. I'm really glad you spent some time with us today and very glad to share the book. Maybe a bear ate it with you. I hope you'll read this book with your family and use the tips inside the book to have a great discussion about what you've read. Remember, my friends, reading is the key to succeeding. Until we meet again, bye-bye for now.